myself, I'll do the first presentation. It'll take about 40 minutes. Then we'll have a break, and then Ben will be on. And then a bit later on, Max Bliss will be coming along. Presently they're doing a presentation at the Harlequin Fair. So they're doing that now, and they're coming along a bit later. Okay, what I'd like to say, if anyone has a website or any information they'd like to share, please let me know, and you come up and speak for 5-10 minutes. You're welcome to do that.
Are you ready?
So?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, well, I'll start my presentation. I've been aware of chemtrails for about 7 years. I work outside a lot, and I've taken lots of pictures and videos. I'd like to share them with you, and then share some of the research that I've done. First of all, I'd like to start off with a definition, so we all know what we're talking about. Can you read that okay?
Perfect.
A normal contrail, or condensation, or vapour trail is formed by ice crystals or water droplets going through a jet engine and then falling behind, and then they sort of taper off, dissipate, a bit like your breath on a cold day. So they're mixed in with the exhaust fumes from the aeroplane, but that doesn't form the white sort of vapour trail behind. It's the ice crystal and the water droplets. But what we're seeing more and more recently are chemtrails. And this is a definition I got from the internet. Chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed at high altitudes for a purpose undisclosed to the general public in clandestine programs. There's no official disclosure on this, no official statement, so everything we've found is sort of unofficial, if you like. And there's a couple of pictures to show you the sort of the aftermath of quite a heavy chemtrail day. Okay, these trails that go from horizon to horizon, they start off thin once they come out the plane, and then they spread out, and then you can define the chemtrails there. Sort of, then it becomes all haze, and it sort of mixes up into like a layer of artificial clouds. Okay, so that's the definition. Now chemtrails, there's a few other names. It's a portmanteau. It's like a contrail, condensation trail. It's a chemical trail or chemtrail. It's a slang name. Sometimes if you ring up someone or talk to someone in authority, they'll quite honestly say, no, chemtrails don't exist because it's not the official name. So I've just come up with a list of other names which they're known as. Geo-Engineering is sort of a all-encompassing name, but that's quite a popular one. Aerosol spraying, solar radiation management, Operation Cloverleaf, stratospheric aerosol spraying, solar radiation management. There's quite a few names out there. Most people know them as chemtrails, and that's how we refer to them for the rest of the presentation. Now, if you type in chemtrails into Google, probably the first page you come up with is Wikipedia. Now, it's supposed to be an encyclopedia for the public, and they're able to change it. But I've heard of accounts where someone's tried to put their definition of a chemtrail in there, and 5 minutes later it's been changed back to what they have now. And what they say is there's no scientific evidence to back up chemtrails. So I quickly compiled a quick list of what I think is scientific evidence. Number one, the main thing is observational evidence. What we see in the sky, they're definitely not contrails. The accompanying abnormalities. Now I've got a lot of pictures of things you see quite briefly when chemtrail spraying is going on. So I'll show you the pictures of them in a moment. You also, quite rare, or whistleblowers, people who sort of have been involved with it, come out and spoken about it. So I've got a couple of very short videos about whistleblowers. I don't know if anyone has Flight Radar 24 on their smartphone or tablet. This one, you you connect to the internet, and it shows a map of your area, and it shows all the air traffic in your area. So quite often you can see erratic flight paths. Flights normally go in as straight of a line as possible from one destination to the other. They might be in a holding path while they come into the airport, but some of the flight paths are quite erratic, and they've been spotted spraying with these flight paths. Okay. Also, a lot of the planes, in my experience, have been unidentified. They don't show up on Flight Radar 24 because they've got their probably military planes and they have no transponder. But there is a mixture. Some people, Max will be speaking later on, and I think Ben has identified some. Some are from the budget airlines. I think Ryanair, EasyJet, they've been sort of caught spraying. Okay. And then people are getting sick after chemtrailing. I've seen heavy chemtrailing days, and then I know people in the medical profession, they say they have a lot of admissions, people with respiratory problems. Chemical analysis, we have some rainwater samples. They're not available at the moment, they'll be brought along a bit later on, you can have a look at them. And secret spraying has been admitted. Ben, I think you're going to show some videos on that. Secret? Yeah, so Ben will cover that a bit later on. Okay. I'll just go through my pictures and videos. I've categorised them. Now this one I just call it extreme chemtrailing. I'll show you the extreme examples so it's more it's easier to see. This is what we used to know. Contrails are quite often very difficult to see. Sometimes you really have to strain to see them. That's how we used to remember the sky. A contrail, that's quite a long contrail, but sometimes they're quite short and it's very difficult to see. Contrail, and then this one, very heavy chemtrailing. The thinner lines are freshly sprayed. That would have been the most recent. Then this one, and these ones, they were sprayed some time ago and all spreading out, all sort of mixing into an artificial layer of clouds. And a few more pictures. Sunset. This is when I was driving in my car. These are all pictures I've taken in North Kent. Absolutely. When I see that, it's absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe other people don't notice it. A few more examples. There's awful parallel lines. Just a mess, that one. Outside my bedroom window. A few more. Okay, so there's some examples of extreme chemtrailing. Now, at the same time as chemtrails are being sprayed, you get the normal contrails as well, because I've heard some people blame it on the atmospheric conditions, but if it's the atmospheric conditions that are causing these trails to persist, why are you getting the chemtrails going from horizon to horizon and spreading out, and the contrails, which we're used to, at the same time?
Yeah.
Can you see the contrail there? And the two big fat chemtrails there, and that one's just all a mess of artificial clouds. These ones are very difficult to see. Can you see the contrail there? And another one there? A big fat chemtrail there. So you're getting them at the same time. This one's leaving a long trail. And that's a short contrail. Two contrails there. This one, a quite big woolly sort of chemtrail, big mess. And a few more examples there. Chemtrail there. Sometimes difficult to see. And there's one flying right next to it. Chemtrail there. A normal plane flying right next to it. Here's my pictures. Another anomaly that I see is starting and stopping Spain. You see them as well. See, sometimes they have gaps. What could explain that? Are they turning their engines off? No, they're just, I don't know, they've got a blockage in the nozzle, or they've got an empty tank or something. But see, they just stop there and here. Look at this one, that's quite obvious, big gap there. And a few more examples. Sorry, that's a duplicate. A few more. If I could just, sorry, just go through that one again, because at the end I've got a video. This is a video over my house. I saw the trail. There's the plane. This is in real time. Can you see the spray? It's wider than the wingtips. The wingtips are sort of like this. And that's even wider, and it's sort of a mess. It's a twin engine jet, but it's got a sort of a, it's not like two trails. And you watch it. And it's sort of, yeah, stopped. Nothing now. Same altitude, same atmospheric conditions, just stopped spraying. To me, it was obvious it was a chemtrail, so I started filming it. I'm like this, and then it just stopped. Nothing. Stopped the spraying. Okay, so that's stopping and starting chemtrails. I'd like to show you one that I got off the internet, and this one's really a much better camera than me. I'm going to turn the sound off because he's swearing away. It's really cursing.
Keep the sound on.
Put it on, put it on.
I can keep the sound on if you want.
Yeah,
It's
please,
I hope no one's offended.
That's alright, we can.
It's quite comical, really. So,
non-prime footage. Focus on that motherfucker. Oh, look at this dirty bastard. What the time to come out and catch a wing sprayer. Oh, look at this guy. Go on, mate. Do your best. Oh, look at that. Fucking rainbow trail, look. You dirty little fucker. Well, well, well. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. Fucking bang on with his tosser. And what a fucking tosser. Look at that. The full wingspan.
will you watch it in a minute?
That ain't coming out of the fucking engines. That's coming out of the wings. And he's just stopped.
That's the best one I've ever seen.
What the
That is really
fuck is
good.
going on?
Believable.
Look at this geezer.
It's like crop spraying.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Pretty much.
See how obvious that one was?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Better than mine. My camera's quite cheap.
Well, here it is,
He's right in on that, and he's got the rainbow effect on the
Like a
light.
shark underneath. Oh yes, he does.
Can you check that's a commercial? Or
Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
Well, if you had Flight Radar 24, you'd be able to, if it had a transponder, you'd be able to see what it was. But quite a lot of them, although they're the same planes as airlines, like Boeing or Airbuses, they don't have any transponders, so they're putting military vehicles. But in that case, you didn't know then.
There's a little
But in my
black tosser.
experience, quite often they don't show up. They've got no transponder.
You said this one was online? Is that what you said?
It's online.
That's another bleeding
Full
wing
credit
sprayer.
to Thomas Photocell. That's his name.
Right.
Just stops.
Yeah. And
Is that UK?
Interesting, isn't it?
that's on.
Suffolk. Yeah. Suffolk.
Stop,
Yeah,
start.
he's in Chemtrails, Victoria.
Yeah, well,
Let's see.
they're looking after you there.
Like a little turd.
Suffolk accent.
Sorry about the bad language, but the angle is directed in the right direction.
Don't apologise, it's documented.
Thank you.
It's the right language for that kind of thing.
Right, now this next video, I got this from the internet, and this shows it from the spraying, very similar to that, from another plane flying behind. It seems like it's someone just had a camera in the cockpit.
Oh.
See how obvious it is. Now what you have, I'll show you some diagrams, you have sort of all sort of nozzles along the engine. Quite often you have these static discharge bits on the edge of the plane that they tend to hide them behind there. Turned off.
Turned off. That's it. Unbelievable.
Now this country, it's in America. You can hear them talking and it sounds like in America. So this is a worldwide thing, so you know, you could even get foreign pilots flying planes over our country.
Put this on YouTube. It's like it's spraying out of the top of his wings.
So that sounded like they were filming it, but they weren't together, and they were just sort of speculating. It looks like it's coming out the edge of the wings, which it almost certainly is. Okay. I'll just show you a few more spraying pictures. Some people, it's a bit of a slideshow, but some people capture them very well. Just a bit miss, I can zoom right in. I need to invest in a better camera. But it seems like it's nozzles on the edges of the wings. Sometimes it's just two trails, and they're in line with the engine, so that's sort of a bit more difficult to determine. But you can see what's happening by the trail that leaves behind. And these ones are very obvious. And these trails aren't even coming out in line with the jets. Again, another sort of like a mist. There you go again.
Natural. Yeah.
And this one, see, this is like a nozzle. It's going to change. This is like the anti-static whip, I think, comes out, and then you've got like a nozzle. But there's quite a few ways it can be done. Is there anyone who's not really convinced by that? Do you think there's any other explanation for the mist coming off and the videos and photos?
Well, I don't know. But at the bottom, what I do know is that if you ask your local MP, he's going to probably give you a bullshit answer.
Pop you off, yeah.
And certainly the suspicions are great, and I'd like to know. I mean, I don't know how you can know, or anyone in this room can know. But
there's no official.
But you know, probably like you, I mean, I can find you documentation from the German military, and certainly the European community have documentation on this stuff.
Yeah.
Do I know? I don't know. But I want to be free to ask the questions without being bloody laughed at.
And get a sensible answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do.
Perhaps it's like the police or CIA or the MI5. They put a few planes up doing this, and then they'll get people talking about it, and those people that probably think about that as being slightly suspicious probably think about other things being slightly suspicious. So it's probably a few policemen planted in here, or from MI5.
Quite possibly.
Whoever it's here, because we might be, doing other things.
Yeah.
But no, that's probably not.
Well, if there are any single policemen here, we can give you unconditional love.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's the only way.
May you go in peace.
Yeah. Okay, here's a few more pictures. Something I see, and I haven't seen many pictures on the internet about this, and I wasn't sure what to call them. Chemtrail shadow lines or projected beams. I think that it's more like a projected beam that interacts with a chemtrail. I'll show you a few pictures. Sometimes it's not so obvious. Sometimes it is possible that the trail, the white, when you've got the sun shining on it, it projects a shadow onto a lower level of cloud. And in this case, that could be what's happening there. But then when you've got this is the tail end of the trail, and a clear blue sky, and then you've got this projected beam.
Yeah, I've seen a massive one come over mine just up the road, like
really?
a big military thing with 3 jets on each side. I don't know what it was, a really big one. And that was quite up, and it was already a lot of chemtrail cloud there.
Yeah.
And as it came through the sky, it cleared a blue line through it all.
Yeah.
So it was actually leaving the blue line rather than a white line.
Sure.
That's the only time I've ever seen that.
There's some strange things going on.
Yeah.
You have to look up all the time, see what's going on.
So what is that? That's a different chemical, isn't it?
I don't think it's It's not. I don't think it's a trail in this case. Some people have said they see like black trails. But what I saw is like a projected beam. Like
in front of the plane.
quite often you see.
I think I've seen some in front of the plane.
Yes.
It could be a chemical in the sky that's left, and it's just
like this.
It's like before the plane flies into it.
Yeah, some people see it seems to appear in front of the plane. So this is the plane, and the projected beam goes in front of it. It seems to go along with
like
it.
a gap, a shadowy gap. No, it's not like a chemtrail. It seems to be.
It's definitely not a trail. It seems like a beam, and I suspect it's interacting with the chemtrail in some way. I don't know what. I haven't found out, but I just wanted to make you aware of what I've seen.
Is that one just to the side of that?
Yes.
Can you see that dark
this
line?
This plane was sort of following it. This is sort of in front. I have got a video a bit later on. And these things sort of, they only last for a few minutes and then they sort of fade away. This one, it didn't even have a trail. Couldn't even see one above that thing there of clouds. I'll show you a video in a minute. Look at that one. That's quite obvious. Another one. A few more pictures. Oh, this one's a video. So in my house. And so there's a black projected beam. Wow. Yeah. And there's a plane seeming to follow it. The plane's very small and the trail's wider than the plane. And it seems to be following this black line. It's just very strange. These are the things I see going along with these chemtrails. You see a chemtrail plane and then you see this black shadow thing.
I don't think it might be a plane that was in front of that plane. It's maybe leaving another sort of chemical.
It's possible, but I was watching that and I saw the black line appear, and then I had to rush inside, get my camera and then film it. And then they sort of fade away as well. I do look out for that, because sometimes some of the trails are sort of black, but the way it behaved, it wasn't like a trail, it was like a beam. Yeah.
I've seen that in there was a lot of spraying in London, and there was it looked like a shadow of the trail.
That's it.
Yeah.
In some cases, I think that is, but this one and a few others, I don't think so. I think it's something strange.
And it doesn't spread.
No, it doesn't spread like a black smoky
You think it's a
trail.
projected beam?
That's what I suspect.
Well, like a hologram?
Yeah.
Possibly.
What,
Yeah.
for the flight path?
No, I've seen that speculated. Some people think, because they see the plane following it, they think it's some sort of guidance, but planes don't need the guidance. They've got sat nav, they've got much more sophisticated navigation equipment. I suspect, this is my personal opinion, it's just interacting with the chemtrails, the chemicals they're spraying. I don't know what they're doing to them, it's just my speculation. This is another one. There's the plane, there's the black trail, there's the beam, and it just sort of fades away. This lasts for about 30 seconds. You see the beam is quite wide in this case, and then you watch it just sort of fade away. It's almost gone. See? If that was a shadow, it would sort of stay there, and it's gone. So they behave very strangely, they behave differently to...
Well, when you've been following these, have you actually ever fallen over backwards as you sort of like...
Almost, yeah, because I'm quite cool. I'm filming like this, you know. Okay. So they're the chemtrail shadow lines. I call these chemtrail markers, I think Ben will cover a little bit on it as well, we call precursors. Yeah. All of this chemtrail spraying can be monitored from space. Now, you see you quite often see the crosses. You've seen the crosses. That's the most common one. When they lay these chemtrails, you can see sponsored by the satellites how they're blown around, how they spread out. They're monitored, and then they can use that information for future spraying. A few hours later or a few minutes later. So I've got a few pictures of some strange shapes in the sky. The X's we've all seen there. But this one, look, stops there, stops here. They're making like a star shape. And that was to the side of it, there are a few markers there. There it is again. It's like a double cross. There it is again. Star. That's like a black smoky chemtrail, so that shouldn't be in there. 3 lines. It's a single line. They've got an A in the sky. That's where you've seen that. Triangle. Can you make that out? Triangle. Okay. These are like 3 lines. Very quite faint. There's 1 line there, 1 line there. I saw a plane flying along here. No trail, no trail, no trail. And it started, sprayed, and then stopped. So it lays 3 lines, parallel lines. So these can be monitored by satellites. A few more pictures like that. There's 3 lines here. Cross, triangle. Right, chembos. Have you seen them? Chemical rainbows. Yeah. So a normal rainbow is a big arc, the sun shining through the rain droplets. With chemical rainbows or chembos, the sunlight shines through the chemicals. You don't get a full arc like a normal rainbow. You just get a little up. Sometimes some people, I think they're also called sundogs. Sundogs, or sometimes you get them either side of the sun. There it is there. A few more pictures. There's chembo. There it is there. So you get all these abnormalities along with the chemtrails. Another one there. This one's a bit wider. There. There it is there. I don't know what that is.
It's like they're forming a ring around the sun. I photographed them, and there's sections, but there's equal distance, obviously, from the sun.
Yes, and sometimes you get a halo.
It's like half a year around there.
Have you seen the halos? It's like chemical rainbow around the sun. When it's a real murky mess of a sky, lots of chemtrails around. So yeah, you've got a lot of strange things that are associated with the chemtrails. Now, I'd like to show you a couple of quick videos. One's 1 minute, one's 2 minutes. Something that's very hard to find, whistleblowers. Max, who will be speaking later on, he's the 3rd speaker. He's been contacted by an aircraft engineer, and I think he'll be able to tell you about that later on. He's been contacted personally. Now, these are videos I've found on the internet. The first one is Dr. Deagle. You can look this up. This is a 1 minute video from an hour-long video. He shares a lot of information, and this one's about chemtrails. And he says he's the doctor who used to treat pilots. So just have a listen to what he has to say.
Chemtrails. And chemtrails, by the way, barium salts are in chemtrails. They are 10,000 times more toxic to your nervous system than lead. They contain mycobacteria, viruses, Pseudomonas florensis bacteria, human plasma. Wonder what human plasma is doing in chemtrails. And this is not by conjecture. I did a lot of research before I'd ever say this. But these chemtrails are nasty. And there's 3 reasons for chemtrails. The first is, and I talked to my NSA buddies at Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base, and Buckley, where I was actually their doctor taking care of the pilots flying and spraying the chemtrails. So I know it's real. If anybody says it's not real, they're full of it. Okay, because I'm a whistleblower on the inside, it's not open for discussion. And my NSA buddies told me, 95% of them told me, they were up there trying to spray to reflect the sun out to stop global warming. So most of them are dumb enough to believe that garbage.
Yeah.
So
the death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States.
So that's Dr. Deagle, who's treated the pilots, and yeah, he says they're being told that it's to combat global warming. But I suspect if this comes out, or when it comes out, that's the excuse they're going to use. They're going to say, we're doing it for your benefit. It's your benefit. We all know about global warming, but we also know about the global warming hoax. But
global cold.
Yeah. So that's probably the story they'll come up with, but don't believe it. That's what the pilots are being told. But I suspect also they're being paid a whole lot more money than normal airline pilots to spray this rubbish on us. And they just keep quiet. They know they're onto a good thing. So this is one more. It's the 2 minute video. This is an ex-FBI chief, Gunderson, I think his name is. Have a listen to what he has.
United States, England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of 2 of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of the Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Still, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge, bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime. Crime against humanity, crime against America, crime against the citizens of this great country. They must be stopped. What is wrong with Congress? This has an effect on their population and their people and their friends and their relatives and themselves. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the pilots who are flying these airplanes? They're dumping this crap, this poison, on their own families. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody in Congress has to step forward and stop it now. Thank you. I'm Ted Gunderson.
Another short video from, again, he's got a few videos on YouTube or on the internet, so you might want to look him up. Yeah, it's a crime against humanity. That's what's going on. I just, we've got a couple more videos. This one I was driving my car, and I could see all this artificial cloud in, and it was spraying, and then it suddenly stopped, and it was turning to a normal chemtrail. Yes, we did it quick. I just quickly pulled over my car and put my phone out. It's unbelievable. These are short trail with the other clouds that just carries on. And then this is another one. I was walking outside. The sky wasn't dark. It was because, it was fun and on. And there's a black projected beam which only lasted for about 40 seconds, and then it just sort of faded away.
Chemtrails.
You've got to be very quick. I encourage people to look up at the sky. If you just look up at the sky, you might see a line. Oh, persistent contrail is a term sometimes. Just ignore it. You look up half an hour later, you see like it's all artificial clouds, and you just think it's cloudy. You've got to look up intermittently. You've got to see how it progresses. These trails spread out, they join together. They have these anomalies associated with them, the chembos, the black lines, stopping and starting. So you need to try and encourage people to look up.
Do you find more in the summer than you do in the winter, where you are? Or is it all year round?
It's all year round.
Yeah, because I was told it was only high pressure. They only use high pressure skies. So like some countries all year round, but like Northern Europe would be only the summer basically.
No,
you see them everywhere all year round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not so much in the winter because it's more overcast.
Yeah, sure.
But sometimes when the sky breaks, you see
in the winter, but you just don't see them.
That's it. You don't see them so much. Yeah. And a question I've been asked before is why aren't they doing it like routinely? Why aren't they doing it every day or every week? They are. Yeah, it's primarily for weather modification. So they're going to be spraying the weather fronts. I've seen a video where they've had like a cloud formation and another one there, and it seems like they're stitching it together. They're sort of
build up the fronts as well, don't they?
Sorry?
They tend to build up the fronts as well and encourage you to join what's already there.
So it depends where the weather fronts are, because they want to spray the weather fronts or the tails, and then it depends where that is. So sometimes it could be over your house 3 days in a row and you see the chemtrailing going on. Sometimes those weather fronts could be somewhere else, so you don't see the chemtrailing going on. So it seems erratic, but their program is to sort of spray the weather fronts.
Depends on the wind as well.
Depends on the wind, but yeah. What I'd like to go into now is something that's very closely associated with chemtrails. And probably although chemtrails can alter the weather on their own, cloud seeding and maybe some other methods, but the chemtrails sort of prime the atmosphere, that increases the electron density of the atmosphere, which allows a facility called HAARP. Is anyone not familiar with HAARP? HAARP. Anyone not familiar with it? Okay, that's good. Okay, I've got right. Okay, what I do, HAARP has a web page, which I'll show you. So
It's quite beautiful.
This is their official website. Someone told me it had been taken down recently. It stands for High Frequency Active Oral Research Program, a premier facility for the study of ionospheric physics and radio science. So it presents itself as a research facility to research the ionosphere. So that's the official web page. But now, if you type in HAARP into Amazon, into the book section, you're going to get some books that tell a very different story. I have one book here, if anyone would like to have a look at it. HAARP, The Ultimate Weapon of the Conspiracy. That's there for anyone who would like to have a look. But here are some of the books that tell a very different story. HAARP, The Ultimate Weapon of the Conspiracy Theory. Probably the most famous one. HAARP, Angels Don't Play This HAARP. Advances in Tesla technology. So the chemtrails prime the atmosphere, and then the HAARP facilities, the HAARP waves are able to transmit through the atmosphere and alter weather patterns. They can amplify them, steer them. I'll just show you. I'll just play a short video. It explains it a lot better than I can. Another short video. There's lots of very good information on the internet. Here we go. This is about a 4 or 5 minute video, and it explains how HAARP can modify the weather.
HAARP is one of several ELF wave transmitters located all over the globe. The United States owns and operates 3 of them. One in Tacoma, Alaska, another in Fairbanks, Alaska, and one in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Russia has one in Vasilursky near Nizhny Novgorod. And the European Union has one near Tromsø in Norway. Working in tandem, these transmitters could potentially alter the weather anywhere in the world, changing the jet stream's course entirely, triggering massive rainstorms or droughts. Even hurricane steering would be possible by heating up the atmosphere and building up high-pressure domes that could deflect or change the course of hurricanes.
This hasn't hit landfall yet, so we don't yet know where it's going to hit, where we're going to see the biggest impacts, and that's exactly why it's so important for us to respond big and respond fast as local information starts coming in.
Now this storm looks like it's going to be headed for millions of people. It's going to be a transitioning system, meaning that perfect storm type scenario. A tropical storm that transitions into an extratropical storm because a cold front, a very powerful Arctic cold front, is going to interact with the system and draw in towards the northeast, a very rare meteorological situation. So this could be historic.
HAARP is being used for weather modification. The military's own record proves it. They've admitted it within their own documents, and yet they still deny it to the public.
Dr. Brooks Agnew has researched ELF wave technology for the past 30 years and is convinced HAARP's effect on the ionosphere does alter the weather.
HAARP couldn't affect the jet stream directly, but indirectly it could, because if you push the ionosphere out into space, then the stratosphere just under the ionosphere has to move to fill in that gap. When it moves, it can pull the jet stream with it, thus rerouting hundreds of miles, changing the way water moves through our atmosphere.
To control and direct a hurricane gives you power at least equivalent to nuclear weapons. A hurricane could be the ultimate weapon of war.
So they're saying it can create high pressure points, it can steer the jet stream and the Gulf Stream, it just intensifies storms, steer the storms, and it seems to be all about controlling the weather. The people behind our governments, I don't know how many of you can sort of set this, but it seems like there's people behind governments who run the show, and they're all about controlling the money, controlling the weather. By controlling the weather, you have it as a weapon, and it's about controlling the food supply as well. And we've seen some real extremes in weather for the last year. I think Ben covers that a bit later on, so he'll go into more detail about that. So it seems like it's all about control. The HART facility is in this book and the other books. It can be used not just for weather modification, but it can be used as a weapon. It shows a picture there where it was lifting up the ionosphere and the atmosphere, and then it can just slam it back down. It's like a heave type detonation, sort of just slams the air down on you and it just destroys you. Apparently it can cause earthquakes as well.
But the Hurricane Sandy got steered in by a HART facility mounted on a huge catamaran.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got mobile ones as well. I've got a few pictures here. We have there's one in Wales. I'll show you a picture. So it's called, people call them the HART facility because I think that was the first one and the most well-known one. But we have one. And that just shows you clouds, how it can be called like ripple clouds. It's sort of that's how the HART facility affects the clouds sometimes. You quite often see ripple clouds.
Is this UK?
Yeah, this is the UK. This is Gorsaf in Aberystwyth.
This is a UK one?
This is a UK one.
I didn't realise there was a UK one.
Yes, there is. And here's a map to show them all around the world. In that video they mentioned the ones in Alaska. There's one in Australia, yeah. And the one in Norway, Tromsø. Do you remember, it's probably a couple of years ago now, there was that picture in the newspaper of a spiral. People suspect that was created by that HART facility there. But then they just blamed it on an out-of-control Russian missile. I don't know if anyone remembers that. They just said it was a missile that sort of...
Is that map on the internet?
Yes, it is. I showed this a few days ago and someone said it's out of date. There's a few more facilities.
Yeah, because in the meanwhile, China came up with a very good invention as well, which is basically the same thing as ours.
Yeah.
But instead of the multiple antennas,
yes,
is a massive, huge disc.
Just one, a disc?
A disc.
Oh, okay. So they're developing this technology all the time. That's how a lot of them are. They're just sort of like Mars. They look quite innocuous.
Not really, no.
The ones in Alaska have been shut down for the last 2 or 3 months. That's why they're saying there's been no major
someone told me the website
disasters.
No, HART has been apparently shut down. Yeah.
Oh, really? So there's all these other facilities around the world.
Yes, it's not known.
Because apparently HART is even members of the government, members of the Congress are, can't go into HART. They are actually stopped at the entrance.
Yeah, I've heard it's been taken over by another department as well.
Yes.
Starker, I think it is. Yeah. Okay.
Time's always so scary.
I've got a few more pictures and then this one more. How many of you have heard Morgellons? Yeah, it seems like here's a few pictures I got from the internet. This is a disease that sort of, it's like fibres that stick into your skin. It sort of appeared around the time that chemtrailing started. So you've got Morgellons, you've got respiratory problems. All this, one of the main ingredients in chemtrails is aluminium, and that causes, it's linked to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and lots of other diseases. What these chemtrails are doing also is, Ben will go into it in a bit more detail later on, is we're having a vitamin D deficiency. Now, vitamin D, it's a unique vitamin. It acts like a hormone. It's a system driver, and it helps you process other vitamins. So it's quite crucial. And if you don't have enough of it, you're going to get ill. And And Ben will cover it as well. There's quite a few adverts of cereals and yogurts and things like that that are saying we've got vitamin D. There's obviously a vitamin D deficiency. Also, something else that they're doing, which I think is quite evil, is they're normalising this. Yeah. So your kids are fixating on Lala, Ditsy and Polo. So they're watching them, but subconsciously they're picking up on the chemtrails in the background. And they just think when they go outside and play, they'll see them, but they just sort of think it's normalisation. Yeah.
Or watching anything on the BBC without seeing a chemtrail in it now.
Yeah, and quite often they splash up quickly when they do the weather. Sometimes they show
always
a chemtrail sky
in the background. Yeah.
But it only lasts for a few seconds, but it goes in there and it's subconscious.
I noticed that was the forecast on the Facebook page for this actually.
Oh really?
Partly cloudy.
Yeah. That was a bit more subtle. Yeah, but the kids are fixating on the cartoon character, but the subconscious is
It's really subtle, that one.
the surroundings. And they're just putting them in cartoons. You can see them there.
They never used to be in cartoons.
No. And there's even one case, does anyone remember the Railway Children, that film?
Yeah.
They used part of that for the Virgin Trains commercial, and when they use that excerpt for the commercial, they put in a chemtrail. And there's actually a video on YouTube where someone shows the original film and then the section they used in the film, one without a chemtrail and one with a chemtrail. So they seem to be putting it into some old films as well.
It's a bit of a problem though, isn't it, for historical dramas? They have to airbrush them out now. So.
Yeah, for historical dramas, yeah, they would have to.
Ben-Hur, chemtrails.
Ben-Hur.
So yeah, they're putting a lot in cartoons. Is that cigarette packet?
Oh, that's good.
This one was on the underground. It's for talk, I think, and it's a Union Jack sprayed into the sky.
EasyJet were running an advert as well for a while, and it's like a digital animation thing of just planes leaving all these trails. That's the EasyJet animated advert.
Quite
I saw a couple of
sometimes
years back.
subtle, but yeah, sort of normalising it. Okay. Okay, that's all the negative stuff. Now I'll just talk quickly about what we can do about it. Well, this is the first step. You've all turned up here. We're raising awareness. We're sharing information. I'll show you a few pictures. This is I got this off the internet. People are writing things on their cars. I think that's in Germany. Chemtrails. That's in America. Max Bliss will be turning up later. He's got a big Leyland DAF van, panel van, and he's decorated that stop chemtrails, so you might want to go and have a look at that outside when he turns up. So that's something you can do. Decorate your car.
Presumably, if you do that, because the government won't admit that they're doing it, and they won't actually prosecute them for doing it, because if they do, then it will mean that they're involved with it.
Yeah, but also if you do that, make sure your road tax and tyres and everything are okay. They'll find an excuse to sort of give you a hard time.
However, if your exhaust is a bit smoky,
Aeroplane and put pink ones in the sky.
Okay.
Which aeroplanes actually have like legitimate vapor trails?
I don't think any of them do.
They've all got legitimate.
Well, they've all got vapor or condensation trails. But to spray what they're spraying, I don't think there's any legitimate reason for it.
But normally, all the normal trails were always from military planes, from actually combat planes.
Commercial.
Not from any, big planes or commercial planes.
Yeah, the big.
So it was always from fighters, let's say. So
some military jets they spray like chaff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's probably a legitimate one, but yeah, I can't think of any others. But this is almost, this is sort of spray chemicals into the atmosphere for weather modification. Okay, what can we do about it? Raise awareness. If each of you go and tell 2 friends tomorrow, and they tell 2 friends, and after 30 days, 1 billion people will know. That'd be great. Send an email to everyone in your phone book. Who was it who said earlier? I've called up my local council and I've spoken to the environment officer, and I said to him, if I chuck some chemicals in the river, would you come and prosecute me? He said, oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. I said, well, what if some planes do it from 30,000 feet and it all floats down into the river? Oh yeah, but we can't make the connection there. And I said, well, if you're finding chemicals there, where do you think they're coming from? He said, oh well, we might check farmland and stuff like that. I said, well, can you make the connection with the planes? And he wouldn't do it. They fob you off, but give them hassle. What, if I've got spare 10 minutes, I'll ring them up and say, look, it's only you and me on the phone. I know what's happening. I think you do, and you're told not to say anything. But just give them a hard time.
Quite dumb. Phone up the Environment Agency. I did it a couple of years ago. I don't know what it is, but they're spraying us, and then they'll pass you down the line, and eventually, if you're really lucky, you get an answer machine.
I had one fellow from the CAA. He said, oh wait a minute, I'll just get my book, and he read out something from the book, and it was a definition of a contrail. And I said, no, don't give me that, we know what it is, and you're told to keep quiet.
I got that from the UEA, from the Environmental Department, but he then went completely quiet when I said about HARP and radio propagation, and he went, oh, and then he clearly typed it in on his computer, and he said, oh, the Aurora, whatever it is, program.
Oh, they blamed it on something else.
No, he looked at the HARP and he went completely quiet and said, I really need to look into this because I've never actually heard of this before. Yeah. That's what he said, so that's where I've left it at the moment.
Some of them genuinely don't, but I've called up the CAA a few times. The girl on the phone called me silly. I said, oh yeah, this is to do with weather notification, and HARP's linked in with it. She said, it's silly. How can you call me silly? You haven't even come up with a good counter argument to tell me why I'm wrong. Anyway, do what you feel inclined to do, what you're happy to do. If you want to decorate your car, do that. Raise awareness, tell everyone you can. Print up some flyers. You can call up your MP, contact the police. It's a crime against humanity.
Have you spoken to the MP?
Not the MP, I haven't done that. I've gone up to police and given them leaflets. I said, can I have 30 seconds of your time?
Why haven't you written to your MP?
Others have. I think, Ben, you've got a letter.
Yeah, I would have been the same council as well. I emailed and I just got a generic letter back saying that they were contrails. So I think they've got a standard letter they send out to people.
I just feel a bit mischievous sometimes. I like to phone them up and give them a hard time on the phone. You get them squirming. You're going to
get the MP has to acknowledge a letter and has to give you an answer by law of Parliament. If enough people
if we all do
wrote, I mean, if I say enough, if 50 letters landed on an MP
and it might start taking notice.
I mean, I would have thought that would be a very
that's what we need to do.
Way to go.
There's too many people who can't see what's going on, or don't want to see, or a combination of both.
That's what it is.
I know we need to wake them up and get them to write letters, decorate the cars, hand out leaflets. We just need to raise awareness. I think that's the first step. And then, like you say, if they get 50 letters on this.
With a petition would be better.
There have been petitions. Have you heard of petitions?
There's loads.
All these things have been done, but we just need more people doing it. That's the thing.
I wrote a letter to Simon Wright about something completely differently. About the fair rents officer. But he wrote back and said, oh, I've written to somebody in the government. So he's passed it on.
He's passed it on. And did you get a reply back?
I did get, from somebody, and then they just said, well, we can't afford it.
Can't afford to look into?
Well, have fair rent officers.
Oh,
it's like it destroy all the good work that private landlords are doing by letting out houses.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they do pass it on.
Yeah.
Your local MP will pass it on.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
And I suggest if you do write to the local MP, if you write also to the local paper. Basically, if you CC in as many people as possible. I mean, I wrote to the local MP recently about the British invasion of Syria. As a taxpayer, whose side am I on? With regards to Al Qaeda, am I fighting them or am I funding them? But of course, I.
Good question.
But I sent it to the EDP, all the local papers. Well, the MP does. I got my crap letter back from the MP, but it starts a communication going. And it means that it's not a subject that's being ignored. And one has to be persistent. But certainly, if you write to the MP, if you include the local media, and and your local councils or whatever, I think this can help.
Yeah. And the more of us doing it, the better.
Well, you see, it's one thing walking around with painted cars and stuff, but letters to the MP in numbers. And when I say numbers, it doesn't have to be hundreds. It's just the local MP. He gets 20 letters about the same subject on Monday morning on his desk.
But there's someone that can always make that disappear.
If you keep writing to the local MP, he has to respond. He has to respond. At the moment, I think you have a situation where your local MP has no concept of this stuff.
Yeah.
You see, you think there's some kind of conspiracy going on where everyone's in on the joke.
But some people
they're not.
genuinely.
I mean, these pilots in these planes, I don't know why they're pressing the button, but I suspect they don't know exactly what they're doing. They don't know the plane's loaded.
Remotely operated. I suspect they're just flying the plane and they're being.
It's a compartmentalised situation. The guy next door doesn't know what the other person's doing.
Exactly.
So the pilot has no idea. He just thinks it's fuel.
Yeah.
My horse died. I know it sounds a bit strange, but I've got a tail, somebody's tail, and I just wondered if you've got a hair testing.
There was someone, we had a conference in Ladbroke Grove in London a couple of months ago, and there was someone there who he sampled his own hair, his fingernails, his urine and saliva, and I can see if I can pass it on to him if you want.
Yeah, he died, his kidneys failed.
And you suspect it could be...
He fell and his blood wouldn't clot, and he bled to death. Well, we had to put him down.
Yeah.
But there's something very wrong but there's that connection I've got with people, farmers and landowners and so on, which I'd be happy to use, because usually if you hurt somebody's horse they get hysterical. So that's one angle I thought I could try.
Yeah, we have had that, someone doing samples. Yeah, I can pass it on to that person. They've got access to someone they used to work with.
Because it's been such a hard winter as well. I mean, the farmers are just, it was awful really.
And I'm going to finish up now. What I'd like to say is sometimes it can be a bit depressing, because I think most people here are aware of what's going on. But when you speak to other people, they don't want to know. I have trouble. I say, look at the sky, and they go like that, and they look back or they're in their phones or whatever. But to reach critical mass where it's going to sort of push things over and get everyone aware isn't like 51%, more than half the population. You only need something like 3 to 5% of the population, because that 3 to 5% are all unified, and it gives it a lot more energy and it sort of carries the rest with it. So we just got to keep trying to raise awareness and then contact the MPs. And I also always say, do what you're comfortable with doing. Some people aren't confident enough to contact their MP. So I say, do what you're comfortable with.
It's more comfortable than dealing with ill health.
Yes, that's right.
And once you're dealing with ill health, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So write the bloody letter to them.
Yes. And then some people
I've not heard all this before. I'm not at all clear. Who's actually doing this? What is the reason? Is it our governments or who's actually doing it?
Well, primarily it's for weather modification, and I think
not why they're doing it, but who's doing it?
Well, my opinion, and I think it's a lot of people's opinions, our politicians, Cameron and Obama and all that, they're just puppets. We've got the real people who are controlling things behind, and they are evil people. They're psychopaths. They've got no compassion for us. They just think of you as cattle to work and pay your taxes, and they'll get rid of you in a heartbeat. They don't care about you.
Well, I think no one knows, but at the moment there's something going on in the sky, and just the sheer fact that you can't ask your MP what is going on in the sky, and you're going to come back with the same old answer, which maybe he's right. Maybe that's
true. Do you think our governments are aware of it, or is it beyond them?
You said a pretty good idea of where it's going on.
In the House of Commons, he brought the chemtrail subject in the House of Commons.
Sure.
A few days later, he died in a car crash. It's on YouTube.
Yes, well, you'll find these examples, but I suspect with so much of this stuff, it's not that everyone is in on the deal. It's not just that. It's a need-to-know situation. Therefore, not everyone needs to know, and half the people don't notice or ask.
Again, I'm don't know anything about this at all. It's the first time I've heard about it. But if they're doing this internationally, they must have a lot of clout.
An awful lot of what?
Everybody's
tax
money.
I mean, you know, awful lot of clout. I mean, you know, it's another subject, but 9/11, as far as I'm concerned, the official story's bollocks.
That's one of the things that, for example, you have to notice, which is, if you go back to what America done, you know, after the Second World War, in chasing, you know, the SES officials, you know, and one of the SES officials was and still is a master on, you know, on chemicals. You know, it was the one that came with the formula for the atomic bomb and all that. You know,
they took a lot of scientists.
If you go exactly, and if you go through all the history, you're gonna find that all this is basically a little formula of what it done 20 years ago, and basically they are using that in the hope of controlling what they can't control, which is people.
Yeah, it's all about control, money, and they do it
population reduction. That's the target.
Yeah,
that's part of, you know.
Yeah, they just consider us as cattle. Nothing, you know.
Half a billion is what they want. And we're selling.
Well, yeah, we're useful to pay our taxes and do the work, but that's as far as it goes. Anyway,
what do you think these chemtrails are actually doing? Because we've talked a lot about the fact they're spraying them, but what do you actually think they're doing? What do you think the results are? Just ill health, or?
Yeah, well,
I've heard there's plans to put heavy metals in there that get into the soils and make the soils less productive.
And then
you've got about vector control, but
I'll come a bit.
You're getting it in the soil.
I think
getting your food.
Yeah, some of the ill health effects are probably side effects. So primarily, they're going after the weather, controlling that. But they're spraying it with aluminium, and that we're ingesting it, breathing it in, and it's going into our food supply, our water supply, and it's it's making us have respiratory problems, Alzheimer's, all the rest of it. So these could be classed as side effects, if you like. But if they're trying to control the weather, but they do it by spraying all these chemicals.
That's one of the things that population reduction is the bottom line. That's not a side effect.
And food supply as well.
Sorry? Yeah, the food supply controlling that. And there is, if you look up the Ukraine pneumonic plague, they did actually, a lot of people in the Ukraine became ill, some died, and they said it was preceded by some chemtrail planes. So maybe mostly they're spraying to modify the weather, but it is possible to spray us with chemicals which will make us very ill or die. Sorry?
How long ago was that?
That was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Type in Ukraine pneumonic plague, and you'll get a story about all these people they look inside their lungs and they're all black, and they say they saw these chemtrail planes beforehand.
Well, that happened in Norwich, the cadmium spray in the 60s.
Yeah, you're going to cover that a little bit. Yeah, Ben covers that. So they've done these experimentations on us, and they've even done one very recently on the London Underground. They said they're going to release it to see how poisonous gas travels through the underground system. If there was a terrorist attack or a gas leak, and they say don't worry because it's not a poisonous chemical, but many chemicals are harmful to us to breathe in or whatever. So they'll experiment. They've admitted experimenting on us, and Ben will cover a bit of that. But why are they experimenting? And you've got to make your own minds up whether they'd use it on us. They may have a cover story.
They're allowed to use it on us, aren't they? Not the other nations.
They're not allowed to use it on other populations, except maybe in war. But could you believe that they're going to use it on us?
Can I just ask? Going back to you talking about HARP.
Yes.
Do you think that they could be in any way using it? For example, you say that they change the weather.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any possible chance they could be using this for good? For example, to combat climate change or something like that?
Yeah. What climate change?
First of all, no.
There isn't climate change.
From what I've researched about the real people in control of this planet and controlling everything, well, like I said, they just treat us like cattle. They're not doing it for good. They spend a lot of time and money on the illusion of doing it for us and doing it for our benefit. And I'm sure when we do get a little bit of disclosure, they'll say, oh, they're doing it for climate change, they'll try and make out to us. Yeah, an excuse, a cover story.
But I mean, they're obviously there, aren't they?
Sorry.
They're obviously there, so I mean they've got to answer to it at some point then. in that case, whether it be for climate change or for something.
But if they were doing it for good, why not just come out and say that all along? Why would there some big announcement when they started researching this back in the 40s or doing it in the 40s?
The government wants that's what Geo-Engineering is.
Yeah.
It's to save the planet, but they wouldn't say they'd be doing it if they were doing it.
Exactly.
They want to portray themselves as benevolent and doing everything for us. So if it was for the good of us, they would tell us, but they're not. So it's obviously not. That's my conclusion. Sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's even, they are not controlling the planet. They are trying to.
They're trying to. Well,
right?
It seems like
And they are trying to do that in any way they can.
Yeah. Well, every way, yeah.
In every way they can. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to just keep you as stupid as they want you to
dumb you down,
and when it arrives to the point where they see, okay, now they saw the beginning of things, chemtrailing and people, getting ill and all that, but then what's going to be the next thing, and I do still think this is just the beginning.
Oh yeah, it's the tip of the iceberg of what's going on. I concentrate on this because people can see it for themselves. They can see the lines in the sky and maybe research it like I did. I didn't even know what to type in. I was thinking, lines in the sky, contrails, and then I finally came across chemtrails. But it is the tip of the iceberg. And there's a lot more going on.
I think what you're seeing at the moment is mostly conditioning.
Yeah.
For one day. Just one day, all shit's going to let loose.
They could do that, yeah. But,
can I say about the connection to the food as well?
Yes.
The genetically modified organisms, which are now coming up, these seeds that resist contamination.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good point. Ben covers that. Soon that will be the only crops that will be able to grow because
they're all terminator seeds, so you can't have to get back and buy them again.
And they're trying to control the heritage seeds, I think, now, and just sell the sterile, genetically modified stuff. So they're going to control all the food, all the crops. Yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. You hear about aid going to foreign countries, but they send seeds that are sterile. They grow one crop, and they can't take seeds from there to grow next year's crop. That seems to be the way it's going.
It's been trading on the stock market. They can adjust the prices, manipulate.
What about money and control? Sorry, were you going to say something?
A dude down the front mentioned population control.
Yeah.
And then he mentioned genetic seed stocks, like in Svalbard and whatnot. And I got here a little bit late, so forgive me if you've already covered it, but the Georgia Guidestones, they put it in broad daylight for everyone to go and read if they want to read it.
Half a billion.
It seems these elite controllers that sort of stay hidden, and the politicians are the puppets. They seem to. I've heard it's one of their protocols. They're supposed to tell you subtly via those Georgia Guidestones, via Hollywood, or what they're going to do next. But they do it subtly. A lot of people don't listen or pick up on it, and then they go ahead and do it. And that's where the population control comes from. They want a population of 500 million.
They're not invisible. We know who they are. I mean, we've got their names. Virtually. I mean, not all of them, but quite a few.
There's parliamentary documentation. It's 2010. If you type it on the net, it's Parliament for Geo-Engineering. You come up with an actual Parliament document. And on there's a section called Solar Radiation Management. And there's actually a section on there that says they are considering whiting the clouds and putting particulates into the ionosphere. That's not conspiracy. That's actually real document.
I know.
That's 2010.
That's UK document.
UK Parliament. 2010. Type in Parliament 2010 Geo-Engineering.
There's one thing I didn't.
It's where they say they're considering doing it, but they're not actually saying they're doing it, but they're considering doing it.
Or they have an initiative to monitor it, but they're not admitting to doing it.
That's it.
So they're researching it, but they're not doing it.
That's it.
Research something, you have to do it.
And one last bit of information. If you look this up, I've got a web page, 80 plus patents to prove that chemtrails exist. So there's a lot of patents. There's initiatives to monitor things like this. There's a lot of patents, so you can look that up as well. And to me, if the patents are there and someone's looking into this, they're doing it. They might just say
particular distribution systems. That's enough to convince anyone.
For me, and there's 80 here. Anyway, we'll take a 10-15 minute break and then Ben will come on. Thanks for listening.
Cheers, thank you.